Hello peoples of the internets, and welcome to this video where I'm going to be building a Jeep Grand Wagoneer rival with this body. I know it's not an SUV, but I'm going to do something about that. As to what, I'm not sure. Hopefully we can bring this in. Yep. And there we go. It's got a very long tail. It is a road barge, but then a road barge is such a perfect thing to rival a Jeep with. In my mind it is okay, and my mind can't ever be wrong. We do have to put everything in a utilitarian position because it's me. Move the front back as much as possible, which you can't really do. You can bring the front up so you can see where your bonnet is, which is always something. Now, we have a ladder frame at the moment. I would say I'm not going to use that, but then refinement, so we have to use it. We're going to have all-wheel drive on this, and that's how we're going to justify it being a Grand Wagoneer rival. It will be all-wheel drive, and it'll be able to go over a small patch of gravel. Yay, marketing! Now we have longitudinal all-wheel drive and longitudinal four-wheel drive. I'm going to go with all-wheel drive just because the drivability is higher and we want it to be fairly easy to drive, especially since it's a massive land barge. And we also need to paint it. I don't really like green on this, I have to be honest. We want something dark bluey, I feel would look really nice. Just mess with this colour tune, although my computer really isn't up to the job. That purple doesn't look too bad. We just have to hope it comes up with something. Ah, there we go. Now we're getting the kind of colour we want. That looks good on this vehicle. Kind of classy, simple design. It is a complete brick though. It's not going to be aerodynamic. That's for sure. Okay, so we have the front of the vehicle done, and the rear, not much, but I'm going to do that later. For now, I just want to move on and get the main body of the vehicle done, as in the engine and transmission and brakes and everything else like that. Because we've got the basic cooling and stuff we need to get it going, and then I can finish the design later.
So, here we have our engine. It's a 6-cylinder, 2-valve cylinder, direct acting overhead cam aluminium engine, which is odd, but that's the way I built it. We have pretty high-end stuff here, although Hyper Reutic does make the engine less reliable because it's not as good with a torque, so that's why I've gone with forged for that. And we have quite a high cam profile. It revs higher than I would perhaps like, but the idea was to get a lot of torque. I eventually compromised on torque so I could get huge amounts of power. Not like the Wagoneer at all, but that's the way I've gone about it. Also, we'll see if we load up the engine. It's in our channel colours, yay! A bit of chrome there as well on the injection system, which is always good. Mechanical injection, speaking of that, so that's something. We have a pretty high-end turbocharger setup, although it is only one turbo. You can see it there, single turbo setup, but it does make the power, and at around 3000 RPM I would like it to have made that power earlier, but it couldn't, so that's what we're stuck with. Quality's all on 0 here, so that's all I need. We have mechanical injection and throttle per cylinder, because if I drop below that, things can start to get awkward, and I didn't want to use electronic injection because I wanted to use something a bit more primitive and thus more reliable for the era, I would think, or at least cheaper to replace. It revs up to 7200. I can rev it a little higher than that, but I believe the engine will run into problems. Yep, it will. So 7200 it is, although it's not changing for me yet, which is odd. We have a 5-inch exhaust. It's pretty indecisive on what specific exhaust it wants, so I have to tune the engine and then look at that later. 5 inches is what it is at the moment, so I'll have to just split it into 2 exhausts, because 5 inches for one exhaust is quite a bit. We've got some decent catalytic converting and muffling going on here, and I'll let you hear the engine. And you see the turbo is getting a bit strained there, but that is our engine and how it's running. So hopefully I can get off this menu, and if I can find my cursor, I can move on to the transmission. Now here we have a transmission setup which for a landmass is remarkably quick actually, 7 seconds 0 to 60. You'll see I've actually named it the country and the trim is landmass because it's huge and heavy. It's an automatic transmission as well. The Wagoneer had a 3-speed automatic, but it's a 4-speed automatic in my case because technology and also acceleration. For what it is though, this thing is remarkably quick. I mean really, probably thanks to the all-wheel drive in part, but it is very fast. I've sent approximately a third of the power to the front and 2/3 to the rear because that should keep somewhat a rear-wheel drive balance there, but keep it all-wheel drive and all the benefits associated with that at the same time. We have also got a manual locker on the differentials, so we can compete with Wagoneer in that respect, even if it's not as useful on a road car. And there's also a design which I can talk you through. The chrome front is very chrome, as you would expect from one of my cars. The front is a little odd there, but I tried to fix it and I just moved wrong pieces, no point really messing with it now. There's a decent amount of chrome on the sides, chrome strips mainly, and door handles and a vent there. Not much else though. We have a kind of roof rails are made with the chrome as well on the roof, and we have some on the rear. So it's our classic barge kind of style. I just used some of these tail lights sideways because I couldn't find ones which would fit better. And I've used a blocked off grille to hold the number plate, which I thought looked quite nice. No number plate on the front yet, presumably that'll mount to the bumper though, so that would be sorted in the real world, and you can't put number plates there in the game, so that's why there's no number plate on the front. Also in some regions of America you don't actually need number plates on the front, so that's something. We have alloy wheels at 14 inches, so we can have plenty of ride comfort. And 225s all around. I could fit wider to the front, but that's not traditional enough. So we've gone with the traditional muscle car setup here, only with all-wheel drive. Or was it four-wheel drive? I think all-wheel drive. We have 3 piston solid discs on the front and 2 piston solid discs on the rear that are quite a bit smaller. Gives me good braking performance. It's to that point where the car stops well at 35.52 meters without going crazy with cost. Like you'll see, it's quite expensive. 200 on the rear-ish for cost and 284 on the front. So expensive but not over the top is the way I like to see it. We've got a fully clad under tray, and I've not messed with the aero. I'll have to do that before taking it around the test track. We have a lot of brake airflow, but I'm not blocking off any vents, even if it means we have under 9 miles per gallon from this thing. It's just fake, and it's not my kind of thing on this vehicle. We have 8 seats, which is basically 2 benches, I think, front and middle, and then a smaller bench on the rear in this type of vehicle. If I just show you the car itself, the rear seats would be less permanent, maybe rear facing seats, like the Liguan I drove in BeamNG, and the interior is premium everything because it's a premium car, and we have basic 80s safety since this is just a 70s car we've bought into the 80s, maybe even 90s, so it's never going to be the safest vehicle in the world. That's just the reality of things. We do have adaptive air suspension, which we can set up for comfort now. Just show you this graph and stuff, which I don't really understand. And it's fairly decent for comfort. 47.1, actually very similar to the engine reliability, surprisingly. And there's our car. 1.9 tons almost of metal. I would say American metal, but I designed it, so I guess it's not. So, we've returned to the engine, where I've made a few changes, actually, because the car got heavier and it needed a slightly improved engine to move the weight. So we have moved to multi-point electronic fuel injection, as that enables me to get the extra power and torque required. You'll see, it does come in, I believe, slightly earlier, although I could be imagining that. Quality is all on 0 on here as well. Quality is +2 on the rest of the car, since that's why it's put the weight on. And that's why we've had to make the changes we have. We have 327 horsepower and 376 torques. It was mainly just a matter of carefully controlling the compressor and turbine to ensure I don't have stupid amounts of lag, yet I still have the torque and the power required. And the result is, as you'll see in the transmission, very, very similar to what it was before. Maybe slightly more wheel spin when the turbo kicks in, but the figures are so close I don't think anyone would notice. Okay, so I've made quite a few changes to the engine. The first being the 4-cylinder multi-point electronic fuel injection. I didn't want to go with that, but I needed the power, so that's the way it's ended up. We have a slightly larger exhaust than before, I believe, and that's about it, other than fine-tuning and stuff. And we also have a rear-wheel drive setup now, and I've spent some money on a geared limited slip differential, which enables us to accelerate to 60 in 6.5 seconds, which is madness, really. We also have the same tyres and stuff. That's not really changed. It's more of a muscle car now, but if we look at the wheel spin, it isn't actually that bad. It's only got 8.5%. For 225s with all this power, I could have expected a lot worse. The brakes are the same, although I've not really tested them yet. There might be some serious benefit, but I don't think there is. Oh, there is. If we go with larger rear brakes, that helps us quite a bit. So I'll do that until we hit a point where it stops being a drastic difference, which is there, and that's our brakes. I have sorted the air out a little, and the stuff is all the same again. I've +2'd quality on everything other than the engine where it wasn't necessary. And if we look now at the test track, we'll see it was 1970 kilos, now it's 1903, thanks to the lack of driven front wheels, and almost 50-50 weight balance. It's actually rear bias, which is incredible for a tank of a car. Although all-wheel drive is definitely better for Wagoneer fighting, this vehicle I think can stand on its own as a luxury thing, and it still has the automatic transmission, so that's keeping the relaxation alive along with a comfort suspension. And the advanced double wishbone stuff, which should keep it nice and planted, yet also floaty in the ideal world. We also have 9.7 miles per gallon. A bit ridiculous, but everything is real on this car. We don't have blocked off vents, no. That can be used by Ford Mondeos or whatever else people use in the time period. It goes slightly quicker as well on the top end, might I mention. Still, time to take it round the airfield track and see how it does. And onto the time, it's set a 1 minute 32.2, which puts it very close to a Mercedes S63 AMG, which is just above it. It's in line with a Ford Focus RS and a Mazda 6 MPS, which are fairly decent early 2000s performance cars, but nothing too crazy and high-end. It beats a Lotus Esprit V8, an Audi TT V6, and a MG ZT, which isn't actually that bad at all, given it's a luxury barge essentially without any real performance potential other than the driveline and the engine. The engine's great, but then it's got an automatic transmission, so I'm happy this is even competitive at all, to be honest. and I'm happy because it looks good to my eyes. It must be said though, it's a pretty poor Jeep Grand Wagoneer rival. It's got rear wheel drive, limited slip differential, and it's very, very low to the ground, compared to an SUV at least. But in its own right, it's a decent enough classic American style of vehicle. Now, the profits, we're talking less than I wanted to. We're talking just under 6% profit. I think to keep it within $25,000, which is what I'm going for really, a premium American car. And, you know, it's not ideal, but this is what it is. I'm happy with it. So, despite its extremely heavy weight and poor fuel economy, I've built something I'm quite proud of here. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. So, thanks for watching, and goodbye until another day.